Welcome to The Explainer. We spend so much time and energy protecting our valuables, our homes, our money, even our data. But what if the most important things we have can't actually be put in a vault? Today, we're diving into a source that argues exactly that, making a case for a totally different kind of security, spiritual preparedness.
Okay, so right out of the gate, the source material draws this really sharp line between two kinds of wealth. Over here, you've got your material stuff, think priceless art or the money in your bank account. But over on the other side, it talks about something it calls eternal wealth, things like your soul and your mind. And the whole point is that we've become absolute pros at guarding the first kind, but we often completely forget about the second.
And this is really the central challenge the document throws down. We have these incredibly complex systems to protect our physical stuff, right? Alarms, passwords, the whole 9 yards. But what about our inner selves? The source is basically saying, look, art and money are temporary, but your soul is eternal. So why do we so often leave that completely unguarded?
So once it establishes this idea of this incredibly valuable, yet unprotected thing, the document then starts to define what it sees as the #1 threat to what it calls our eternal destiny.
Now, the language here is meant to be pretty dramatic. This isn't being described as just some disagreement or a simple debate. No, it's a war like no other. By framing it that way, the source just raises the stakes immediately. It's saying this is a constant, ongoing battle, and it's for your mind and your soul.
And this threat? It's not just some vague, abstract concept. The source points to a very specific adversary. It pulls out this really powerful image from Scripture, a roaring lion, to paint a picture of a predator that is actively on the hunt. And what's really important to get here is that this isn't some passive danger. It's an active, searching one.
Then the text does something really interesting. It pivots. After describing this threat from the outside, it turns the focus inward to diagnose what it calls our spiritual condition right now.
Wow, that's a pretty shocking image, isn't it, to be vomited out? The source uses this intentionally jarring quote to make a point about spiritual indifference. The message is crystal clear. Being lukewarm, just stuck in the middle, isn't just frowned upon, it's considered completely unacceptable.
So, what does being lukewarm actually look like? Well, according to this source, it's a really dangerous kind of self-sufficiency. It's that feeling when people think, I'm good, I'm wealthy, I don't need anything, all while being totally blind to the fact that their material comfort might be hiding what the text calls a perilous spiritual condition.
And what's really fascinating here is that the text actually gives this condition a name, the Laodicean message. This isn't just presented as some ancient historical warning. No, it's framed as a timeless red flag for anyone who has gotten so comfortable that they've started to lose that spiritual edge and just kind of blend in with everything else.
Okay, so after defining this huge internal problem of being lukewarm, the source material doesn't just leave you hanging. It lays out a very clear 3-part solution that it says is being offered by Jesus himself. So the solution is laid out as 3 symbolic gifts that you have to actively buy or go after. First up is gold refined in the fire, which is said to be true spiritual wealth. Second, you've got white garments to cover spiritual nakedness, representing righteousness. And third, there's eye salve, so you can gain real spiritual insight and finally see clearly.
But here's the absolute crucial point. This isn't like going to a store and buying something. The source describes getting these gifts as a process of total personal transformation. It's about completely aligning your heart, your will, and your mind with God's, so much so that you essentially begin to live His life.
All right, let's move into the final section and see how this all builds to the text's ultimate motivation. Because it begs the question, why is this call to prepare so important right now? And there it is. The main reason for this entire argument is a belief in a huge, imminent event. The text is very clear. The soon return of Jesus is what's creating all the urgency. So this isn't just some casual suggestion for self-improvement. It's being framed as a time-sensitive, absolute need for true heart preparation.
And this brings us right back to the beginning, perfectly illustrating the text's core promise. By going through this spiritual preparation, by getting the gold, the garments, and the eye salve, the source promises that real security will be given. The same divine figure who makes the call will then in turn protect what is most important.
And so this whole argument boils down to this one final, really piercing question. After comparing the stuff we lock away in safes to the intangible parts of who we are,
The source basically turns to us and asks, what is truly the most important thing to protect in your life? And what are you actually doing about it?